Kris, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Totally.
Yeah, appreciate it so much. And, I've been following you guys. It's been so much fun. Last year's state final. Is that something you expected last year?
Yeah, I mean, the prior year in 22, we had or 23, sorry. Yeah. We had a tough season, probably the most losses we've had.
What's the most lost season? Because you guys win a lot.
Yeah.
What is a tough loss? A tough
we had eight losses in 23 as a program. Definitely the most in the season for my tenure, and probably a lot in the history of the program. So coming back after that, I think there was a lot of determination to get back into a team that's collectively together. That 23 season, we had a lot of injuries. So they were definitely determined to collectively come back together and push to be back in an elite program. So it felt good to get back into that championship match.
Yeah, it was fun. And the reason we're going to talk about this season, but I always like to talk about last season because it was kind of, for me, this was the first time I was kind of around you guys, I was covering and watching the team. And one thing that to me was, and I'll tell you this, I don't know if I told you, so I did play tennis in high school. Mm-hmm. I wasn't like the best. My story is, so my freshman year, I had a team with 5 seniors, and I was the 6th player. At the time, you roster 6, everybody played singles, everybody played doubles. I know now it's very different, but that's how I was back many moons anyway. So everybody graduated. So I automatically went to 1, but it was just by default because there was no returning players, right? So I remember it being quieter. Now everybody's just so emotional and talk. Is that something? Has it always been like that here, Staples, or is this something you guys kind of started?
It has. It goes through generations. I mean, that was one of the things when I came on board in 2010. Is to change. Team tennis is totally different than the junior circuit, the professional circuit that you guys, people watch on TV, where it's, hush quiet. You can hear, a pin kind of drop. But team tennis, even at a college level, I played mid-level Division I. It was rah, and that was a great experience. And you want to kind of bring that to this program. And it was, for a while, kind of what everyone talked about. Staples comes in really loud. They're really supportive. They bring this basketball, football feeling vibe in there. Obviously, we don't have as many tons of fans, but it creates a great culture. It creates energy. It creates a bond. And tennis is tough. So when you're not playing great and knowing left and right, you've got support, where in a typical tennis match, like you said, you can just sit there and you feel like you're in a confined area. It can lead into a lot of success.
100%, because like I said, that was the first thing that struck me. I get there and they're loud, they're rooting for each other, and that's interesting you say that, because it does, even when I go there and I see the guys, saying, let's go Staples, go Wreckers, and they pump each other up. That can create a really cool bond. Now, I've seen the other teams that kind of pick that up too, right? And we get some people that come in, especially Greenwich, Darien, they're loud too.
Oh yeah, and it's definitely something that's, I guess maybe we, no pun intended, we've stapled it for a while, and a lot of people, a lot of stuff is a copycat, and a lot of teams do it, and as long as you don't cross the line and nothing personal, it's part of team sports, and that's what the camaraderie is about.
Yeah, and I love it, and I'll share this one story which was so great to me on the state championship last year, and we're playing Greenwich, and they brought some fans, and they were heckling. I think it was our last player over there, and and there was things going on, and your comment was, if you want quiet, go play something else. I don't remember the sport you said, but it's like it just, at least to me, brought at the top, and then I was like, there's no. We want people here. We want fans, right? I mean, that's what you want.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, to bring the student body in and bring in support for, a sport that seems to be on the quiet is, I think people enjoy the experience. And like I said, we're used to it. We prepare for it. Some of our competitors will do it, and we're gonna bring it. We gotta take the punch too. And like I said, it's all good, and it brings the best out of team stuff.
It's fun. I think it's I think it was a match this year. I think Darien, we had a real good student section. They were talking, and I see you going, the other coach. It's I love it. I think it's if you do it all in fun and you're respectful about it, it's great.
Yep, totally.
And it's you want the fans I think a big part of sports is the mental. And to me, I think tennis is one of the most mental games out there. Is that how you feel it too?
100%. 100%. And that's a big thing this year for us, mindset, especially where, we're trying to get back into a top trophy and tournament team. And Greenwich right now has a mindset that is very elite. And, I think we have the talent and we have the experience, but the mental part is where we're really focusing on to get to where we want to get to.
And, we talk about the mentor and the team. One of the things that Jenna from the girls said to me is that you are a master of setting lineups. And I want to talk to you, I kind of want to pick your brain. How do you look at the team? How do you set lineups? How do you prepare from meet to meet? Walk us through what goes into your mind. So you've had great success here, a lot of state championships, and people can say it's talent, but it's not. A lot of times you need to guide the talent in the right direction, like I said, mindset. So how do you set lineups? How do you prepare the guys? What goes in your mind as you guys have such a successful program over so many years?
It's super important to understand what you have, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I know I have talent year in, year out, but I don't think talent wins you much. Nothing on paper determines otherwise. We wouldn't play any sport.
Right.
So for me, it's giving these kids an opportunity, top to bottom. I know almost all of them can start on a varsity team, possibly not Staples. So it's important for preparation, it's matchups, and keeping everyone engaged. If I just put a set lineup, which I would say 90 to 95% of programs do on the tennis side, it just gets complacent. And if you have a competitive program, you want everyone fighting for a position, fighting for their minutes. In our case, it's not minutes, and getting opportunities. And that's what's fair. And there's a lot to go in with the singles and doubles. Just because you're a great singles player, and that's what most of these kids train in the off season, it doesn't mean you're going to be a great doubles player. And you got to learn that side. It's a different, just like in other sports, you might be a great defender, but you just you're not the scorer. So you got to understand your role. So when it comes to lineups, I dig deep into that. And like I said, I don't like putting in just a ladder lineup. I keep everyone engaged. It keeps us internally really competitive, fighting for their spots. And I don't even set the lineup until minutes before the match.
Really?
And the boys for years are always like, when are you going to cheat the lineup and let us know the night before? And it's just, I also watch, as we warm up, before a match, who's there, who's like engaged, who's present. They might come in, had a tough day at school, didn't have lunch, don't look prepared. There's guys on the roster that can step in. So for me, it's just that's a big piece. And the other big piece is just, scouting. Seeing box scores, seeing what teams do, what their tendencies are, and looking at those opportunities, because one line in one match can be the difference. So if we can take advantage of that, we do. And again, me altering lineups on a consistent basis, especially in competitive matches, has set a trend in the conference, and now a lot of teams do it. Yeah. And I've met my match, and I think it's great. It makes the sport better, and I'm happy that it makes it more competitive for everyone.
Yeah, I always feel like everybody kind of needs each other, right? Because if you're sitting at the top, nobody even challenging you, like what's the point? It's like I always look at, I love football. Everybody loves football. It's like you look at the game, Ohio State and Michigan, like kind of need each other, right? If one was wiped off the face of the earth, it's like, okay, what do we do now? Who do we play, right? And so it's kind of need that. And it's interesting. I want to go back to what you just said about looking at how our players are warming up. So I've had good experience in that, and kind of, I get the games early, and I try to, most of the times, and watch what's going on. And it's amazing how sometimes, I see a lot in basketball. You see a shooter doing warm up, and they're hitting everything, and that translates to the game like the dot.
Yep.
It's crazy. You said that because I've seen that and I noticed that. It's awesome that you see that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big believer in actions speak louder than words. So, I mean, all these student athletes, they'll come up to me and tell me, they're feeling great and, this is the day and this. And I'm just like, if warm-ups look good and your actions speak, I'm going to give you an opportunity. If you're prepared, you're going to play. And if the matchup makes sense, you're going to play. And yeah, it usually translates into success.
Yeah, it is pretty cool with that. Now, so this year you guys, are having a really good season. I think, like you said, it's Greenwich to be the only one that's kind of still there, but it was a close match. Is there anything that stuck out to you that you didn't expect to happen this year yet? Like a good surprise? Or is it kind of going like how you thought it would from the preseason?
I think it's been pretty good. These guys came in this year with, I think, a chip on their shoulder. We've got 9 seniors, 14 on the roster, total players, and they've faced a lot of adversity. A lot of them were on the team since their freshman year. We've had some tough losses. We've had injuries. Going into this season, they didn't know if they were going to have a different coach.
Right.
So there was a lot of things out there, and to kind of put that all behind them and just feeling like this is their last hurrah, the majority of the team, and still wanting to reach a lot of goals. I think we've come together quite a bit, and it's just the little things like that. And our biggest thing is being team-oriented. So I'm not really surprised because I've got great leaders, and they've been through so much that it's like they've matured, they've learned how to handle it, and they've put things behind them, and everything's just present, staying forward. And now it's just continuing that mindset and getting stronger. I mean, like you said, that match against Greenwich was really close. But a Greenwich program that hasn't lost in 2+ years is super confident, and they've also faced a lot, and they don't know how to lose. And so we've got to really dig deep and find ways and really do the little things.
Yeah, I in my mind, and it's like, just listen, I'm not only cover Staples, I'm a fan, right? I want every team to win out there. If there's any question about that, we want them to win because I want to talk to wins and I talk to players. That's what we want to do. And like in my mind, all I can think about is let's get to that final again, right? Let's get another crack at these guys like a year later, because that was, to me, it was intense. I thought it was a lot of fun. And I don't know, if people who haven't been to meets, I don't think they realize how much is going on and how much there is to watch, right? I mean, I've kind of go around like, I don't know where to look because there's all great things going on. But as you look at the program and as you've grown this program and you guys are so successful year after year, let's just talk about like someone who's watching this, big tennis guy. What does yourself, high school coach, look at, or can do to prepare to kind of, say, hey, I'm a 7th, 8th grade. How do I get prepared to be a part of this team?
I'm just, really understanding what it means to be part of a team, and especially a competitive program like ours, and just going in with understanding like you might have a little role early on. It's tough and it's a long process, and just be the more you can understand to being a teammate and a team player, the opportunities will be there. All the young guys that come in, they train year round, which majority do. You don't have to go gung-ho and play on the junior circuit 24/7, but training all year round and just coming in wanting to be a teammate, the opportunity will be there because that's what the culture's set for. And then, like I said, you'll have plenty of opportunities to learn being a better teammate and also to learn the X's and O's and, the competencies of doubles, which is an important piece. But those are probably the big things for me, versus coming in, having your own agenda. If you think you're going to have your own agenda, it's tough. It's not going to be easy.
Yeah. And I asked that because this is the first time on the podcast. We will not be the last, but the first. And I always feel like, this is, to me, it's like I ask questions that I think parents would ask, right? And players. So I'm a player trying to make the team. Like, What does he think like, right? So that's what's so great, that question, for people to understand, well, that's what he's looking for. That's what I need to work on, right? Now, we're going to go back to tennis now. I want to get to know Kris. And so I know that you're a huge sports fan. We share a love for the Knicks and all this stuff. So when you're not coaching, and I know that your intensity as well, but when you're not doing your tennis and all this stuff, what is Kris like? What are you into?
I am a big sports guy. Like, I love watching sports. So big, diehard Knicks, diehard Mets, and crazy enough, diehard Patriots.
Oh, so we're kind of like, this is what you get here a lot, right? You get like half New York, half Boston.
Yeah.
Like I'm the other one, so I'm Knicks, Giants, Red Sox.
Yep.
So it's like, it's crazy, right? How it works. But so sports, rank your teams. What's your favorite?
Oof, that's tough. Probably Knicks up top.
When the Knicks are winning, there's nothing like it.
I grew up in the 90s, and I used to cry for games. So hopefully I'll see a championship in my lifetime. But, Mets and Patriots are close seconds.
All the losing you've done with the Knicks, you've made it up with the Patriots.
Yeah, so so that's definitely that order, and so that's a lot of it is I do a lot of that. I have 2 young children, 9 and 7.
What are your kids' names?
Chase and Emma.
Chase and Emma. Chase 9, Emma 7?
Yeah, it's actually Chase's birthday today.
Oh, there you go. Happy birthday, Chase. By the time this goes by, that's awesome. My son's birthday is tomorrow, the 2nd of May.
Ooh.
There you go. See, we're close. So happy birthday, Chase. That's awesome. So the kids, anything outside that, the sports that you do?
No, I'm a pretty homebody. Like to hang out with the fam. My family's still in Westport. My in-laws are close to town. I'm an only child, so I don't have siblings on the other side. And so just a lot of family-oriented stuff. I like to lay low, play a lot of golf when I can. Chase plays a lot of golf, so it's good to do that.
I'm playing golf tomorrow. My son's birthday. That's what we're doing.
Awesome. Yeah,
right.
So
that's what you got to do. You got to play. Get 18.
Yeah.
And what's great about golf is if you can get your kids, which I do, both my boys play. It's like it's something you can do we'll be like 9, 8. Hopefully we're 80 and still walking around and playing golf, and we can still enjoy that.
Yep.
It's just
amazing.
You, right? It's like, and people who don't. And listen, everybody. Some people like us and love golf, but I feel like the sport's great, but the stuff around the sport, the time you get to spend with whoever it is that you're playing with, it's pretty great.
Yep.
And you built like kind of a bond that you really can't build anywhere else.
Yep.
Pretty great. So Knicks, now I want to tell you my one Knicks story. Well, did you? There was last year. Larry Johnson came to the basketball game. Did you hear that story?
I did because Jordan Schur, who I played tennis and soccer with when I was at Staples, and now I know he's overseeing the PAL stuff. He had mentioned, he shoot me a text that that a couple Knicks were going to come in town.
So here's a funny story, Larry Johnson. I don't know if I ever told this one, so I'll tell you because you're a big fan, so you appreciate it. So it was the first game, the opening game of the basketball season, and it was really my first time covering because we had just started covering the basketball. And I had done the podcast with Gold Shore, David, and it's like, okay, great. So I'm standing like at the end of the bench by the court, and he comes and sets like a really nice, like those nice folded chairs right by me. My first thought was, man, he really likes me. He's setting a chair for me. I didn't know what was going on, so right before the game starts, Larry Johnson walks in. Now, me being a huge Knicks fan, I knew right away that he walked in the gym, and he came and sat right next to me with his friend there. Now, it took the gym about maybe 10, 15 minutes to realize who that was.
Totally.
Right? But once they realized, like, the kids started flocking, and Larry Johnson's friend just kind of left. He's like, you got this. And then, so I kind of became security for him that day. Right?
Wow.
And then it's like, and it was so cool because like he was signing paper plates. He signed shoes. The only thing he didn't sign was a water bottle.
Wow.
I think he drew the line of water bottle. But no, picked it up, and then at the end he came and he said, listen, my autograph's not going to be worth much if everyone in town's got it, right?
Totally. Yeah.
It was so cool. He spent so much time. But, at least to me, it's like sometimes you watch players on TV and you realize, if I meet them, what they're going to be like. And he was probably just everything I thought he would be.
It's amazing.
Cool,
it's amazing.
Right?
It's amazing. I know. He's been on a lot of Knicks games recently, so
it's pretty cool.
It's cool to see.
But the fan around it. So I know you don't have a lot of time, but do you get into any shows, any TV shows, anything you like, or movies? What's your favorite genre there?
I'm not, and it's a big battle at home with my wife. You know, you don't watch any TV shows, you don't watch any movies. It's all sports, and it's tough. My schedule is also tough.
Yeah,
you know, I work 4 nights a week to probably like 9:30. So getting home and decompressing and just like watching an end of a sports game, I'd rather do that. I work on the weekends, but I'm sure sometime I'll get to a time where I'll get into maybe some shows or some movies, maybe when the kids get a little bit older. But
do you like it? Like, is there something that you like? Like, let's say if you were to watch a movie, what's your type of movie? I'm trying to find out, like, what does it do? Like, who can you relate to? Like, I've had a player.
I don't know. I mean, probably my favorite movie of all time is Boiler Room.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
you like that, Jaron? That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So I like that kind of suspense / craziness. Yeah. But
that's fun.
That's probably. But my wife would say I'm not a big movie guy, so I'm telling you the truth.
How about music? Music. What are you into in music?
I do like a well-rounded. I love music. Definitely love music. Right now, I'm mostly into like EDM house, kind of that kind of music. But
what would be a guilty pleasure song that, like, if people like, man, I can't believe he listens to this? And I've gotten everything. I've gotten like, Billy Joel, you name it. People are like getting into all this. What is one thing says I cannot, like, country? Like, what is it like people say, I can't believe he likes that song? What's that? Name one song that would surprise people to your playlist.
I don't know what song, but like probably an artist like Adele. Or like Alicia Keys.
You would get along with Barry from Girls Soccer because he's a big Adele guy.
Just like, just really good vocal and just inspiring and just whether you're having a good day or a bad day, it's just it sets a great tone.
I'm with you. I don't look. I mean, lyrics are important. I get it, but to me, like you just mentioned, good vocal. Like I feel like if there's a talent, whatever the talent's doing, I want it, right?
So I can get away from that, from being like right now into like EDM house, which is a lot of energy, and mostly instrumental. But then I grew up in the 90s into like some of the best hip hop. And then, even in college, I started to get into more alternative, Dave Matthews, Red Hot Chili Peppers, and all that stuff. So, but, out of nowhere, you'll be like, based on what I just told you, why Adele?
Right. Well, I was trying to explain to my kids today that my first, I like you, I grew up in the 90s, so like I remember getting my first CD player, right? Those big Panasonic ones. Remember that? That's it, Panasonic, right? So I brought it at Sears, right? Mowed a bunch of lawns. It was like $300 for that thing. Tons of them. And my first CD was Appetite for Destruction by Guns N' Roses.
Wow.
Right? And they open up with that Welcome to the Jungle. Yeah. I mean, does it get any better than that?
No, we used to fire up those songs on the bus rides in my early years here at Staples.
Right. That's where you grew up. Like the Welcome to the Jungle was it? Because that CD opened with that. I'm like, I will never forget that feeling of putting that CD, the first CD in and that. Because I always feel like music. I feel like music's like the dessert of life.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
It's like it can take you somewhere and all that. So I love asking about music because, it kind of gives you a little bit inside of the soul of the person, right? What are they like? Like, I'm like you. Like some days I'll be in a mood for something very like rocky. Next days I'll be listening to country music. Mm-hmm. My wife goes, "What are you going through? You listen to country?" I'm like, "No, I just like it." Yeah. What are you? Yeah. He's like, "What are you going through?"
I haven't really gotten to that route of country, but.
Well, Morgan Waller has been like, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
He's taking country a little pop, and like all these kids are getting into it. I mean, if you're country and you're selling out Madison Square Garden and you're selling out MetLife, you've made it.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Because like if you get country fans here, it's pretty great. Yep. But it's all that. I mean, we have a lot of fun. All right, so what sports do you play?
I grew up big in soccer and tennis, did both at Staples, did both at the next level. I miss playing soccer, but I also did a little bit of basketball, But right now it's obviously tennis, golf, are probably where I'm at. But I've been able to do kind of a little bit of everything.
So because you're tennis, so like I said, I play tennis. What is your view on pickleball? I'm not a fan, but I'm also not a hater. Okay.
Because I haven't really stepped into it. I've tried it once. I do think for a very competitive athlete, I can't see the urge to do it. It's, to me, it's like very competitive mini golf.
So I've heard, because usually I'm like, like I said, coming from tennis, I kind of thought that, and then I got into it a little bit. I enjoyed it. I still enjoy it. I find that it's harder on the knees than tennis. I don't understand why it is. I feel like the movements are sharper, and I don't get why that is. I feel like my body takes not more of a beating, but like it hurts more, the joints, after I play pickleball than do tennis. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is you need to be in that like stationary squat position. So for probably longer period of time than you are in tennis, because tennis, you're out of the squat, you're moving right away. So I can see that.
Yeah. So, all right. So you got how about padel?
Okay. So that I'm a fan of.
Have you played it? I've only seen it.
I have not. And I've been at the Sports House, which is I think the only local area that hosts padel. And I just been over there because my son was on the golf simulator for his lessons. But I've been out. I was on crutches for 6 weeks in the winter, so I haven't gotten a taste of it. But that, I think, is going to be a sport that will start to thrive, especially for that competitive athlete that's, the adult from, that mid-level, from like mid-age, from like, 30 to 55.
And you're seeing that with all the pros doing it.
Yes. There's just, there's a little bit more activity. There's just more to it if you were a higher level racket sport player before, where, like I said, I think pickleball, you don't necessarily have to have been a competitive racket sport. So it's like, just like like I always say, my comparison is like you go play mini golf. I think anyone, any age, doesn't matter if you've ever played a sport, you can figure out how to do mini golf, right?
Put the ball in the hole.
Right. So
really good.
Right. So it's pickleball to some extent is very similar to that. But padel, I'm a big fan of. Yeah.
We're gonna have to get some hate on the people that are not gonna like a pickleball comment, but I have to agree with you. So but I will say this: it is. I look at sports. There's the exercise aspect of it, and there's the social aspect of it, and I feel like where pickleball gets some of it, it's because like you go there, and it kind of validates everything we said. It's not that competitive, but you get the social aspect of the people who maybe don't play a golf.
Yep.
Right? You're hanging out, you're talking to someone, What gets me, like I see people bringing their like beach chairs all the time, and they're sitting like and having fun. So maybe, it's a sport that's growing probably because of that.
No, totally. I mean, listen, but at the end of the day, it's whatever you fit,
Right.
So it's like, I'm not really, like I said, even when you first asked me, I don't really hate on pickleball. For me, it's just not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
But if you fit in that room, it's probably a great experience. So on the flip side is like, I don't know if those pickleball players would go play padel, they'll be like, this is not. So
not for me.
It's not like I'm not, saying I hate it. I just, I don't think it's really fits me.
Yeah. I could see, like, let's say 10 years from now, we have a pickleball team in Staples. Can you imagine that? Right?
I can see that. It's just marketing, and if it gets to the collegiate level, it'll dime down to the high school level.
Yeah, because it's and I say that because my oldest son just finished his sophomore year, and what he was telling me, and he was kind of the one, and I was like, I'm not gonna try this, wasn't gonna do it. He comes back freshman year and says, let's go play it. I'm like, why? He goes, so basically what, and he's at Ohio State. He says what the kids are doing is like at night, like, and again, these kids in college don't sleep, right?
Yeah.
So this is like, he says, well, what they do is at 11 o'clock at night, they take all the basketball courts and they put the pickleball nets up. And everyone goes to the recreation center and plays pickleball until like 2, 3 in the morning.
Wow.
while they're having a beer.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't say that. You know, I would just say, like, you know, so it's like this kid, instead of like maybe being in a video game and all that, they were doing something out. He goes and listen. And he was telling me a story because, you know, I know you're a football guy too. He said, like, one of the tight ends for OSU came, and I was like hanging out with him, and he was like dominating because he's a 6'6" guy with a red shirt.
Taking
like,
over the whole court.
Yeah, he's macking everybody around, and he's just like, this is no fun, and he left. But the point was, like you said, you know, it's becoming a social event more than the sport itself. So for what it's worth, like I said, so to your point, like if it grabs the kids early on, then it'll build a good audience later. I think that's what tennis and golf, all this stuff, like the kids, like you said, your son is young and doing it. It seems like he's learning the game on. It becomes a lifetime game.
Yep.
That's what I love about it.
Yep.
That's what I love about it.
Yep.
And it's fun. And like I said, it doesn't matter what you do, get outside and do something.
For sure.
I tell people,
For sure.
it doesn't matter what you do, man. Just get outside and do something.
Yep. It's amazing.
Get moving, right?
That's it. That's it.
All right. So let's you know, bring it back to if we do this again, you know, at the end of the season or early next year, what do you consider 2025 to be a successful year for you?
You know, just a great experience, having an opportunity, obviously to play for both championships, knowing that these guys gave it everything, there was no regrets, and that the culture that we've created is still standard and still up there. Those are probably my biggest things I would feel really good about. And just moving forward from there and probably having more of a rebuild going into the following season as we lose, the most seniors that I've had. But as long as the culture stays, to where it's been for years, that's easy to move forward through with that.
Yeah, and I think people kind of expect that at the high school level. I mean, I see it, like I said, because I have a son in the Staples volleyball team, we follow it. I mean, go back to, 3 years ago, you won 3 games. This year, we're undefeated. Mm-hmm. So it's like, because the kids just grew, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, when they were sophomores playing at the varsity level, and you think this is a tough year. But you're going to reap those, you're going to reap that benefit 3 years from now, where everybody else rebuilding, and you got all these experienced players. So it's going to happen. We'll just go through it.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so before we go, I want to do a little quick hits with you. So I'm going to ask quick questions and give me quick answers. All right, you up for that?
Yep.
All right. Favorite food?
Pasta.
Favorite subject in school?
Math.
Favorite Westport restaurant?
Ooh, that's not a quick one. I don't know.
Because you're a Westport person. You went to school here. Yeah. So it's like this is your home turf.
There's a lot of good restaurants, especially recently.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go and say Cottage.
Wow. Okay. I've gone to Cottage too. That's upscale. That's a good restaurant.
It's a good one.
Now Thursdays they have the farmers market thing. Have you been there on a Thursday before?
I have not.
You have not. So for my birthday, my wife and my kids took me there, and I didn't realize on Thursday if you go there on Thursdays, and we're giving a free plug here. They have this, because in the summer they have the farmer's market. Mm-hmm. So whatever it is that day, whatever the chef picks at the market that day, they serve it. Mm-hmm. And we just listen, whatever, just bring us. And it was an amazing experience. Yeah. They're a really good place.
Yep.
So
no, like I said, there's a lot of good restaurants. I haven't been there too many times, but I just feel that is. If I could go there as many times as I could, it would be probably the one.
All right. Sweet and salty?
Sweet.
So then if you're sweet, cake or ice cream?
Ice cream.
Very cool. That favorite genre of music? I know we talked about music. What's your favorite genre?
I'm going to stick to where I am now, probably house, EDM.
Okay. And we're going to end with this. If you could go back and relive one day in your life, either be it watch it or actually go through it again, what would it be? Let's do this. Take away the birth of the kids, wedding, because all that stuff, we're always going to rank that very high because those are life-altering events, right? I mean, for me, that would be it. Yep. But if you take away your wedding day, birth of the kids, what day would you like to go back and relive?
Probably, I would say 2004 Summer Olympic Games in Athens. I was a volunteer there for tennis. opening ceremony. Pretty amazing.
Okay, so we can't end this. We got to talk. So, because your heritage is Greek, correct? So you went to the actual. Walk us through what happened there, how that day was. I'd love to hear because I've never met anyone who's been at that.
Yeah. My aunt is been on the Olympic Committee for years, still is. So I had an opportunity to volunteer the Athens Games, and I actually brought my childhood best friend with me. And I was volunteering on the tennis side, and I got to control the players' box in the main stadium at the Athens Games. That was time when Roger Federer was playing there, the Williams sisters. So it was just cool to be like kind of behind the scenes, but Olympic Games are once in a lifetime. To kind of do it, part of in my heritage country, and being something that I don't think a lot of people get an opportunity to do. No. It was just opening ceremony of Olympics in general, every 4 years that we see, whether it's winter or summer games, is pretty inspiring, and it's just cool atmosphere. Like I said, the chances of me ever being at an Olympics opening ceremony again in my lifetime, I don't know if it's a high percentage, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, you use the word inspiring, and that's exactly and I'm like, again, I cover a lot of team sports. That's where I'm around, but I do remember it was the end of the summer. I went to we had a couple people running the Westport. What was it? I don't think it's a triathlon, but they do swim, a run, and a bike, over at Campo.
Yep.
And one thing that struck me was the vibe of the event. Like how everyone's kind of really rooting for each other, and it's like it's just different, right? And not that we don't do the sports to do, but it's a different vibe. It's inspiring because people are there, they are there to win, but a lot of them are there just to be a better version of themselves.
Yep.
Like just like, especially in the triathlons, like, yeah, you want to get a good time, but it's about completing them more than anything.
Yep.
In the Olympics, I feel it's about getting there.
Yep.
Because an athlete knows I'm not a medalist here, but I'm here.
Yeah.
Right. So you get a lot of that.
And like you said, outside of my wedding date and my kids being born, all special days. But I can relive a lot of other great memories, but I have the opportunities to do that again. I just thought
you take it.
That opportunity for Olympics, and obviously not even in America, going to a different country, even though I had been to Greece multiple times, I would say if I could do that again, I would do it again. It was pretty amazing.
That's a great story. Like I said, you're the first person I meet that have been there, and I'm a big Olympics guy too. Like, everybody, you watch all the sports, right? I like it more for the sports that we don't see much, like I like the swimming, I like the running, because it's like, and the tennis is great and all that, because but you kind of watch that so much all year.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I like the ones that people don't watch, but still, to be around those guys and be around that must have been pretty special.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Any like cool stories that happened there, like maybe like a little.
If you're a tennis fan, you'll probably understand who I'm talking about. But I was obviously behind the scenes of the stadium, so I was downstairs and outside the locker room, and Brad Gilbert.
Oh yeah.
Was coaching Andy Roddick at the time, and so I was down there waiting for the next match to go in the stadium, so I can go up to kind of control the players' box, because that was one of my volunteer jobs. So we're down there, and I had my credential on, and I had the American flag. And Brad comes up to me, and he was just barking at Andy. They were just like going at each other, like coach and player. Uh-huh. And I had just witnessed it because they were not very mindful that I was around. And then Brad looked at me, and he saw my credentials and American flag. He goes, "Oh, you're American." He's like, "You're used to that, probably. It's all good." And he's like, "Where are you from?" And Connecticut. And then talked about tennis. And so he was like, he's like, "You weren't shocked what you kind of just heard and what you saw." I was like, "No, it's all good." So it was just,
that's cool.
It's again, what you see behind the scenes is no different than what you'll see at a Olympic level, professional level. It's part of the process.
Yeah, because you're such a Knicks fan, I'll throw this question at you, because right now what my boys are into at home is like it's asking questions. Like for some of the other day, I'll give you an example. We're at home, and then my other son says, "Who would win in a fight, 100 average-sized men or a gorilla?" and we spent about 4 hours debating that. But to relate to sports, watching watching an Olympic event or Game 7 Knicks NBA Finals?
Game 7 Knicks Finals, especially if it's at MSG.
Right, exactly. We got to view that. Kris, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
I want to wish you guys the best of luck. We'll be out there covering and can't wait. Hopefully we'll be in that state final again.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Happy to see you.
Thanks, man.
Yep.